not getting paid a dime. And here's this man telling us, questioning our integrity, who's a paid trustee. So he's getting paid to sit there and he's questioning our integrity. I take exception to that.
I don't think this guy is connected to the grassroots. You know, we're the people. We're the grassroots people. I don't think he even understands us. I don't think he knows our trials and tribulations and our plight. So what he said to me was irrelevant because I just seen him as another American looking down his nose at us.
If we are getting close, can I tell a little bit more about what happened at the trustee meeting?
Well, one of the calls, actually one of the callers wanted to know how the 24-hour vigil ended. So go ahead and talk about that. We can always come back to it.
Right, thank you. After we completed our presentation, again, we put them on notice that we intended to be there and conduct a vigil, a peaceful vigil and protest until such time that they pull their support.
Right.
They took a recess shortly after. And then after they started up again, we actually started our peaceful vigil by sitting
on the floor.
Sitting on the floor. And again, from the very beginning, we were engaging in a respectful manner. At one point, they called an executive session, and they asked us to leave. Now, that was a point where we had to make a decision whether we engaged them or not. And we were committed to a peaceful process, to a respectful process. So we accepted and we removed ourselves from the boardroom.
We were very clear that we wanted to be porno about this. We didn't want to emulate some of the previous behavior from other, what I see as OHAs and the whole process with the Akaka Bill has not been porno. So we wanted to be very careful that we were porno in our behavior and trusting on our kupuna, yeah? The word that we agreed upon was dignity. We'll go in there with dignity and trust in our kupuna that if we be porno, we will prevail.
So if I can follow up on that.
Sure.
After we removed ourselves from the boardroom and they conducted their executive session, closed-door session, what was troubling is what happened next, is as we were sitting out in the boardroom, never did they notify us that after the executive meeting, the meeting would be over. So we went out, agreed to their request, and as they did that, they closed the boardroom and exited the side doors. So they concluded their meetings and exited the side doors.
Right.
So for myself, and I think a number of other people, we saw that as a sign of disrespect for what we were trying to do. What they didn't realize, though, I think is they strengthened our resolve to stay there and conduct our 24-hour vigil. What eventually happened is at approximately 4 o'clock, we were notified that the building would be closed at 4:30 and that we would have to exit the premises. What was also going on is that OHA employees were all told to leave before 4:30. So they were shuffling out of the building before 4:30, before when they normally close the building. At approximately 4:30, they said, the building is closed, you have to exit the building. And I have to make sure I say everything that I recall. I know Mr. Namu'u and Clyde Ikaikahasi, our representative for Huipu, were engaging in some discussion about possibly allowing us, giving us permission to stay overnight. Essentially what happened is Mr. Namu'u made a statement in front of us saying that that was not his call. The building closes, and at that point it becomes the building's decision whether we can stay or not. Of course we disagree. We saw that as basically just kind of a curtain of what they were really trying to do. And we respectfully told him that we couldn't accept that. So we were prepared to sit there and face the consequences, whatever the consequences were. We understood at about 4:30, 4:45, the police were outside the building. So we anticipated that then we might be arrested at that time. We prepared ourselves. We sat down in a respectful manner. We started to pray, to pule, and to chant, and to himeni. And we did so what we believe in a respectful manner. 4:30 came and went. No authorities came up, no police. And I'm guessing on the time, about 6 o'clock, somewhere around there, our representatives from OHA said they had negotiated with the building and were willing to allow us to conduct our vigil.
Okay, so they allowed you to stay?
It turns out that way.
Okay, so how did the vigil end this morning?
Well, if I may say a few things, and I think what we did overnight, our vigil was on the hour until 12 o'clock. What we did is that we, again, on each hour we puli, we himeni, and we then read names of our kupuna who affixed their names to the annexation, to the petition opposing the annexation, the Ku'e petition, 1897. So on each hour, we took about 15 minutes to read the names. So of course we didn't read all because there are 38,000 signatures. opposing the Akaka Bill, and we did that on every hour until...
Opposing the Akaka Bill, that's funny.
Well, they're calling to us, and we continue that opposition.
Well, we see that as a continuation of our declaration.
Right.
So we have a couple thousand, and we include those 38,000, because we know that our kupuna were against selling out their souls to the U.S. I just want to say something. You know, I was looking. We were singing Kaulana Napua, and many of us bought pohaku symbolically to remind Oha and to ourselves that we would rather eat stones than sell out to the United States, than give up our identity, give up our national status. Yeah, a lot of people have seemed to forget that we come from a free, independent kingdom, a nation that was overthrown and is still occupied by the U.S. So we bought our pohakus to remind Oha, yeah. And I don't know if they got it, but you know, as we sang Kaulana Napua, and as I remembered the words, I thought to myself that it seems like anybody who supports the Akaka Bill probably should never sing that song again. Because when you look at the words, it says, you know, affix your signature, you know, to the paper, and I just had that thought, you know, to support the Akaka Bill, how could you sing Kaulana Napua again? But one thing I'd like to talk about, since we're running out of time, real briefly, is just to put a plug in. There are alternatives, and Bumpy Kanahele has been talking about one that I just want to put a plug in for Bumpy. He's been working for many years, as we know, on a bank, a native bank, a Hawaiian-owned bank, and I think it's a very, very viable solution for some of our problems. For many
it's not a solution to the Akaka Bill.
No,
it's actually completely off subject.
But it can help our people.
Okay, but hold on a second. Let's just stay on subject, and I'm not saying that's a bad idea.
Okay.
Bumpy's done a lot more work than that. I mean,
Absolutely.
He's pro-independence for Hawaiians.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, if they want to know about what he's doing, if people want to know, they should definitely get in touch with him.
Right.
And there are others besides Bumpy.
Right.
So can you just touch a little bit on who those others are that are, you know, have alternatives to the Akaka
Bill?
Bill?
We have Henry Noah,
Okay.
the reinstated Hawaiian government. There's Dennis Ragsdale, Kingdom of Hawaii. Those are alternatives. You have the Native Hawaiian Coalition out there, supposed to be an alternative.
So there's process out there.
There's processes. Our Hawaiian people are moving. Yeah, we're not sitting. We're not in a state of apathy.
Right.
Right. We got Kanakas out there who are busy doing things. But I would encourage people to check out www.bumpykanahele.com and see for yourself.
Now, we're running out of time, like you said. Does the Huipu have someplace where people can go for information? I know that they've been flashing phone numbers across the screen. If people want to know more about, for instance, there was a caller that wants to know about the T-shirt. So if people want information about the T-shirt that you're wearing or about what the Huipu might be doing in the next couple of weeks, what can they do besides call?
I provided them the phone numbers, but are there any other?
Is there a website? Is there anything?
We don't have a website because we just don't have the resources amongst us.
Okay.
Really get, well, we have an email. We have an
informational
email account.
What's that?
Huipu_info@yahoo.com.
That's Huipu, HUI_info.
Huipu, HUIPU.
HUIPU, and then underscore
info
at
yahoo.com.
Okay. And if people didn't get that, they should call one of the numbers that they saw there on the screen. Real quickly, is there anything coming up in the next week? Because we know the cloture vote is set for October 17th. Do you know of anything happening in terms of